Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the SC Reports podcast. I'm your host, Devon Cyrus. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second long podcast. All the moves on July 2nd in this crazy free agency signings. With the cap going up, a lot of players who have not contributed a whole lot their whole careers are getting ridiculous amount of money. And we're going to talk about all of that right now. So I covered the Joe Johnson deal in the morning. That was the first one of July 2nd. He agreed to a 2-year, $22 million deal with the Utah Jazz. Excellent move. Whether Joe Johnson comes off the bench or starting, the Jazz just got someone who can close, who's an experienced closer, someone who can get hot really fast, someone that's going to push a guy like Gordon Hayward every single practice to be amazing. So I think it was an amazing move. They got him at a great deal considering that the cap went up. I thought Joe Johnson would have got a lot more, especially because he is still a name brand. Even though he has teetered a little bit in recent years, he is still a name. Like, Joe Johnson is still a good name out there. And the fact that they got him on a 2-year, $22 million deal, it's $11 million a year. That's a great deal for the Jazz. Next one is Luol Deng. He agreed to a 4-year, $72 million deal with the Lakers. Now, I talked with a lot of you guys in the comments section, and you definitely see him coming off the bench. And you know what? I think it's just the cap that's throwing me off. When I see a 4-year, $72 million deal, I assume that they want that person to start. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do there in Lakerland. But I think you guys are right. I think he will come off the bench because inserting him to the starting lineup at small forward or power forward would confuse things for the Lakers. I think he can be a scoring punch and a little bit of a defensive punch off the bench with a guy like Lou Williams, who's also a spark plug. So the Lakers have a lot of low-key picks. It's just that the crazy amount of money that they're dealing out for, I'm not going to call Luol Deng a second-tier player because he was really good a few years ago, but he isn't the Luol Deng of 3-4 years ago. And the next one was Arron Afflalo, who signed with the Kings on a 2-year, $25 million deal. So he left New York, which is bad. This is bad news for New York. But the Kings just got themselves a shooting guard, one that can score and rebound. And that's really good. He did not have a great season last year, but hopefully he bounces back on a 2-year, $25 million deal. That is just another insane amount of money for 2 years. Now, this one pissed me off. Because again, guys, I'm from Toronto. Bismack Biyombo. Now, first, let me just say, let me just vent for a second. Bismack said that he would take a hometown discount. But he still leaves. But understandable. I mean, seeing every other person and some people that, quite frankly, shouldn't be getting the big contracts that they've gotten get such big money, I guess he was tempted to leave, and he went to the Magics on a 4-year deal. Now, reportedly, he's going to get $72 million, just like Joakim's deal in New York. It's an okay deal. He really did come on at the end of the season, and when Jonas Valanciunas went down, he had a few 20 rebound games, a few 5 blocks games. So I love Bismack Biyombo. What he brought to Toronto was special. I think he's going to regret leaving, but he went out there, he got his money, and he's going to try and start out there with a guy like Serge Ibaka in Orlando. Now, the next signing of the day was Trevor Booker, and he signed on a 2-year, $18 million deal with Brooklyn. And you know what, guys? I'm not going to pretend to know like I know a lot about Trevor Booker. I really don't. But he is going to Brooklyn, and I see them just accumulating some pieces to have a decent season. probably won't have a great season, but they're trying to get pieces that have some potential. I believe Trevor Booker a few years ago, that people said that he had a little bit of potential. Let's see if he gets that fresh start in Brooklyn. Now here's a name. Ryan Anderson signs a 4-year deal worth $80 million with the Rockets. Holy crap. This is another $20 million a year, if I'm not mistaken. Guys, it's been a long day, so give me a break if that's wrong. But yeah, 4-year, $80 million with the Rockets. I think this is a great fit. Hopefully, James Harden can work with a guy like Ryan Anderson. He's gonna get a scoring punch. He's getting a scorer, which he has complained about. So Ryan Anderson's going to the Rockets. I think that's a great fit. The Rockets are still looking for a center to replace Dwight Howard. So right now, Ryan Anderson, I do see him starting at the power forward slot. I don't see a lot of other power forwards there on the Rockets. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Now, here's a rumor that was going around. The Pacers are trying to get Rudy Gay from the Kings. And you know what? If they do this, they can launch themselves into a very, very lethal state. And you know what's weird? They were supposed to have a horrible year this year. Okay, it was Paul George, and I'm not going to say a bunch of no ones because I kind of respect a guy like George Hill. I think he had a decent season. Obviously, he's not a pass first point guard, so it didn't really work well with Paul George. And, CJ Miles, he had a few good games, but he's way too inconsistent. I really thought Paul George was going to get some ridiculous amount of numbers, but they weren't going to win more than 25, 30 games. They proved me wrong. They have added Thaddeus Young. They have gotten Jeff Teague. Can you imagine them getting Rudy Gay? They've also acquired Al Jefferson. Their rebuild literally took a year. It took a span of less than a month. It took 2 weeks for them to literally rebuild this whole roster and to look lethal. I like the move. If they do get Rudy Gay, it will be a great move. And obviously the big news of the day, Al Horford agreed to a 4-year deal worth $113 million with the Celtics. Now guys, let's not pretend like we did not see this coming. Al Horford and a few people close to him have even said that the main reason why he left was because of crowd reaction. He didn't like the fact that sometimes Atlanta's crowd is really out of it. And I can agree with him because if you think about it, there were times when the Hawks were always doing these crazy things to try and get people to come out. Remember Tinder night for the Hawks? That's just insane. That's stupid. But him going to the Celtics, you won't have to worry about that. Boston pride. Celtics would get really loud. And again, it's a city of champions. Boston has that feel. So I'm really happy for Al Horford. I think he'll fit in really, really nicely. And here's the thing. They got their inside scorer now. They had Sully, they had Kelly Olynyk. Both of those guys are not really consistent. Al Horford can give you that consistent 18 points per game. And now you also throw in what they were doing last year. Now they have a punch down low, which they didn't have last year. I think this is a great move for the Celtics. Now, Courtney Lee. And I will be honest with you, these next few are a little bit ridiculous, but let's get into it. So, Courtney Lee has agreed to go to the Knicks on a 4-year, $50 million deal. I haven't seen much of Courtney Lee. lately because he has been traveling a little bit. But he did have some potential a few years ago. So maybe going to the Knicks is a good thing for Courtney Lee. I know he was a decent defender, more of a three-point shooter, but I mean, you guys helped me out with that. I haven't really caught a lot of Courtney Lee games or watched him as of late. He may have developed a lot better than the last time I saw him, but overall, him going to the Knicks. The Knicks did need a shooting guard. Interesting to see what happens with Dwayne Wade now, since they gave him Courtney Lee a 4-year, $50 million deal. But again, it's New York. I think they'll go over the cap if they have a realistic chance at getting a guy like Dwayne Wade. Now, Marvin Williams. He's a very solid guy, actually. I like Marvin Williams. He signed for a 4-year, $54 million contract with the Hornets. So he basically re-signed with the Hornets. Surprisingly, he didn't take a 5-year deal to come back, but he took a 4-year deal, $54 million. I think that's decent. Now, I'm looking at the cap, and it seems like a lot of people that are close to 6-man or are suitable starters are averaging around 40 to 50 a year. So I think this is right. And just bear with me because this cap is just crazy to keep up with because people are making a crazy amount of money right now. And I'm trying to like readjust my thinking. So 50 million now is not really a crazy deal when a few years ago it was. So Marvin Williams re-signing, I think that's a great signing. Like I said, the Bobcats, I like that roster. I think they do need to get somebody, especially someone to replace a guy like Al Jefferson, but I still like the roster. This one is unbelievable. Ian Mahinmi has agreed to a 4-year, $64 million contract. $64 million contract with the Wizards. Now, I do know a little bit about Ian Mahinmi. He was coming off the bench, I believe, this playoffs for the Pacers. And actually, he might have been starting. Can't remember. But he did get some rebounds and he did block some shots. But $64 million? See, guys, this is why I'm trying to readjust my focus and trying to figure out what is really the average now. Like, what is the real average? Like, and I'm sorry for stuttering and all this, but like, what is the real average for a solid player now? Because it seems like everybody this free agency has gotten at least a $30 million to $50 million deal. And Ian Mahinmi got $64 million. Oh my god. Crazy. But yeah, guys, the Wizards did need a big guy. They wanted Joakim Noah. I guess they're putting the rest of the money in Ian Mahinmi. Let's see what happens throughout the rest of this free agency for the Wizards. Now, another rumor here for you guys. The Mavericks will reportedly sign Harrison Barnes to a max offer sheet. Now, on here, it doesn't say how much they're going to offer him, but it's obviously the max. So we could be looking at 100 million, closer to 100 million. Ooh, quick little update. The match of the contract could pay Barnes $23 million in the first year. So that's crazy. We're looking at probably a 90-something million dollar contract. Closer to 100. So I think that would be a great move for Dallas because they did lose Chandler Parsons, and it was very weird because Chandler Parsons said there was no way he was going to return. So yeah, the Mavericks do need a small forward, and Harrison Barnes moving there would make him one of the top options, and maybe he could rebuild his career there, because obviously he had to defer to 3-4 other people on that squad before he could take shots. So now he can go back to kind of doing what he did back in his North Carolina days. Maybe he can rejuvenate his career, get his points back up to like 18 points per game. Who knows? Austin Rivers also signed back with the Clippers. Daddy gave him a good little deal here, a 3-year, $35 million contract. I think that's just right. It's kind of what Lynn got. I believe Lynn got 31, 32. But, you know, Austin Rivers, decent backup. This looks less crazy and looks a little bit more better in terms of money. So, yeah, I definitely think this was a great deal for Austin Rivers and the Clippers. Why would he leave a guy like Chris Paul who pushes him every single day to get better when, you know, there's not a lot of other places you can start in the league? I don't think a team would want you to start anyway. I'm not being disrespectful to Austin Rivers. Do you guys think there's a place he could start in the league? Why don't you put that in the comment section below? Could he gotten money somewhere else and start? Love to hear you guys. So this is the last one, and this is Eric Gordon. So he's not going back to the Pelicans. I had a feeling he wasn't going to go back anyway. He signed with the Rockets to a 4-year, $53 million deal. And not surprising, Eric Gordon wanted some money and he got it with the Rockets. So, you know, James Harden now has another scorer, somebody else just like Ryan Anderson, another 3-point specialist. So the Rockets have all of a sudden become much more lethal from downtown. A lot better shooting team. And Eric Gordon in recent years, especially last year when he was playing healthy, he kind of rejuvenated his career. Like, he had a few 20, 30-point games with 5 to 6 threes. So it'll be interesting to see if he can stay healthy. That's his biggest issue, staying healthy. Can he do it? I don't know. But if he can, the Rockets did pick up another solid pick. Now there's one person missing here. And I believe that is John Lure. Listen to me, guys. I believe he got a 4-year, $48 million deal. Or 42. Like, what is up with the cap? Like, it seems like if you can catch a basketball and you can rebound a basketball, if you've averaged maybe 5 minutes to 10 minutes in a season, all of a sudden you're worth that much money? That is insane, guys. And I believe that is the last thing. There were some rumors, though. This is the last thing, I promise. There were rumors that Paul Millsap was on the trading block, but it was mostly because the Hawks still wanted to keep Al Horford. So they wanted to get rid of Millsap, keep Al Horford and Dwight, have that combination. Didn't work out. It's going to be interesting to see how Paul Millsap reacts now. And I don't know if I'm going to cover this in another video or not, but Kevin Durant has said that he's going to make his decision within the next 24 to 36 hours. Where is he going to sign, guys? It just makes sense that he goes back to OKC. I just don't see him leaving OKC. If anything, it's going to be a 1-year player deal, player option, which he'll of course opt out of. But I just don't see him leaving. I think he's going to sign back for a 1-year deal. 1-year deal OKC. What do you guys think? Put it in the comment section below. Thank you for listening to the SC Reports podcast. You guys showed me so much love. I believe I got like 3 to 4 likes on the last podcast. I'm in the upper 70 views or 60 views. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you on the 3rd day of free agency. Peace.